been, bro? We all thought you were dead or locked up in a basement somewhere.
Yeah, about that.
Hey, no need to explain. Whatever you do in your time is your business. Just hope you've got your essay ready. They're due today.
Essay?
DCAU History 101. We were supposed to write on when the Big Bang happened.
Oh, that's easy. Sheldon and those other guys didn't have their show till 2007. Or do you mean when the Big Blue Hand created the universe? Or, no, the Bang Babies? Oh man. Have you guys ever thought of yourself as the leading authority on a topic? Doesn't matter how small. Maybe you're the authority of knowing the favorite pizza toppings of everyone in the house. And this comes in handy every Friday night, because Friday is Family Pizza Day.
Pizza time.
You order what you usually do. Virgil likes pepperoni and green pepper, Sharon likes mushroom and spinach, and your wife likes... Oh, wait. Your wife died 5 years ago, and this is the first night you're bringing home your new girlfriend to meet the kids, and they're gonna know that you didn't ask her favorite toppings because once they open the pizza, they'll find ham and pineapple, mom's favorites. And now, everybody's sad. This is my dilemma. Well, I mean, that's not exactly it. It's kind of a metaphor for how Static Shock throws a big wrench into the DCAU timeline. Maybe I'm not the best at metaphors. Let me try to explain. Beginning its run on Kids WB in September of 2000, for its first season, Static Shock was mainly set in its own world. Despite DC and Milestone's professional relationship in the world of print, this cartoon was made to stand on its own merits. In case it wasn't clear, this was made evident as early as the 5th episode when Richie told Static, even Clark Kent has a day job. This line was later removed from future airings as well as DVD releases and has since been lost to the ether. Then, January 26th, 2002 rolls around. We all woke up that morning, filled our bowls with cereal, plopped down in front of the TV, and turned on Kids WB. Cubics, Robots for Everyone just ended, and a new episode of Static Shock was up next. But what's this? The Joker left Gotham for Dakota? Ooh, he looks just like he did in the Batman Beyond movie. Wait, why does Robin look so different? And why is Batman not wearing his new outfit? While this video isn't about the inconsistencies of Batman's costume, that one's in the pipeline, this episode did start raising the questions I have with the series. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore it, but from a timelining perspective, it does make me pretty heated with how much this series really stretches the credibility of a cohesive timeline in the DCAU. And I know what you're thinking. Isn't this what you said about Justice League Unlimited's epilogue just a little while ago? Yes, it is, but while that episode is pretty easy to work around with some creative thinking, this entire series has crack after crack that leads to tons of episode shifting, necessary assumption, or throwing out timeline clues altogether in order to make it work with the grander narrative of the DCAU. Allow me to elaborate. If you've seen the first episode of our series, The Vanishing Point, then I'm sure you're already aware that Static Shock takes place over the course of 2 years, give or take a couple of months. In the final episode, we get this line from Virgil.
Oh man, that was gonna be my car next year.
The implication here being that next year, Virgil turns 16 and will be getting the family car. Moving back earlier in the season, we're told that Hoop Squad occurs during the NBA All-Star Game.
VIP seats for the All-Star Game? Oh, V, this is the bomb!
During the episode, Steve Nash is in Dallas Mavericks attire, Yao Ming in the Houston Rockets, Tracy McGrady is repping Orlando Magic, and Karl Malone is wearing the Lakers. Had this been any other series in the DCAU, the fact that the NBA All-Star Games occurs in February and that Karl Malone only played with the Lakers from October 28th, 2003 to April 14th, 2004 in the real world would have been evidence enough to place this episode in February 2004 and work backwards. However, we start hitting problems as quickly as 2 episodes prior when we get to Green Lantern's crossover in Fallen Hero. As we've stated before in the recent Justice League timeline video, that series occurs during the DCAU's 2000 to 2002. In the final episode, we see the version of the Watchtower from that show destroyed. Yet not only is it present, but Jon Stewart also has his Justice League haircut rather than what would have been his current Justice League Unlimited shaved head goatee combo number number 5 with a large drink. Obviously, this can only occur as late as 2002 to place it before Justice League's finale Starcrossed. And while we don't have a specific date for that episode, we do know that
They would have to do it during the playoffs.
by my research, the latest playoffs I could find in the world of professional sports is the NHL, which goes up until the middle of June. So this episode would have to occur before then. While this logic completely ignores one sports reference for another, the other DCAU properties have had a much more consistent track record with things like this, so they do take precedence, and we just have to assume that Karl Malone signed to the Lakers earlier in this universe for one reason or another. While there's more clues between the episodes, our next big clue is another crossover episode, this time with the full Justice League. Well, most of them. Superman and Wonder Woman are missing, but Superman's absence is important. In A League of Their Own, we see the League has
The last piece of Brainiac circuitry.
Despite this episode having aired months before Justice League's own Brainiac episode, Twilight, from a narrative standpoint, it must occur after. After all, in that episode, Superman says,
You're lying. I destroyed him.
and had these events occurred first, it sure would be weird that nobody calmed him down and said, well, actually, Superman, you see in episode 36 of Static Shock, A League of Their Own, we all fought Brainiac, you just weren't there. I mean, maybe they just didn't want some super punches, but Batman was pretty sassy with him, so I think at least he would have risked it. Anyway, once again referencing our JL timeline video, Twilight does fall into that clump of episodes that occurs between Halloween and Christmas of 2001. So now we know that at least from this point up until Hoop Squad should theoretically take place between November 2001 and February 2002. 2 episodes before Static meets the League, we're at the 5th anniversary of Dakota's summer riots. We see that school is in session, so it's likely late September to still be summertime, and we get this bit of info.
I'm going back 2 years to the Big Bang.
So this places us in 1999 for the Big Bang, right? Oh, if only it were that simple. You see, if the Big Bang occurs around fall of 1999 due to the upcoming Homecoming dance, then that would mean Frozen Out should occur in winter of 2000 due to this exchange.
I haven't seen her in more than a year.
Right after the Big Bang happened.
And for the most part, this would mean everything up to that point occurs in between late 1999 to sometime in 2000. But then in Brother Sister Act, only 2 episodes prior to Frozen Out, Virgil says,
Excuse me, did you just say video arcade? That is so Y2K.
It's what?
Y2K, last year, out of date history.
so then shouldn't that episode be in 2001 and the Big Bang occur in 2000? Well, there's 2 different ways to interpret his statement. I'm sure most of you who watch our channel are old enough to recall the significance of the term Y2K, but for our younger viewers, the 90s were a wild time. Computer technologies were still a generally new concept, and as businesses and the world in general moved into a more digital system of commerce, there were legitimate concerns about the approaching new millennium. Nobody was really certain if computers would be able to properly process the move into the year 2000, and many families prepared for doomsday type scenarios, mine included. Obviously, on the other side of it, it seems silly, but the Y2K bug scare was a very real thing. Y2K standing, of course, for year 2000. With this in mind, Virgil's statement could theoretically mean either that 2000 was last year, or that the Y2K scare was last year. For the longest time, I interpreted it as the former, with the Big Bang occurring fall 2000, leading to the series ending in 2003, with Karl Malone playing for the Lakers only a year early. I figured I'll have to break production order to make sense of the placement with the Justice League crossovers, but what else can you do? But then as I began to binge the show in preparation for this video, I realized there's a lot of other episodes that need to be rearranged to make sense as well. A few examples are probably flashing on the screen right now with little notes I made for James to include, and if not, then I'll just have to change this part of the script. And the more I looked at it, the more I started to move towards the 1999 start date for the show, since overall, it means fewer episodes to move altogether. The thing is, short of being given official word from a creator on the show, both interpretations seem like they could be technically accurate. If you're trying to wrap your brain around this timeline and you think 2000, I can't fault you for moving around a few more episodes than I already moved around. While not as big of a rift as the 40 or 50 years we talked about in our Batman Beyond video, this is just another one of those cases where things are left open to interpretation. Although, the 1999 interpretation does have one last thing that bugs me that I want to point out before before I turn in this essay. You guys remember this?
Last time I saw you, you were too young to drive.
If the Big Bang occurs in fall 1999 and Virgil is 14 as seen here,
You don't want me. I'm only 14.
then Green Lantern is technically wrong, as Static would have to be 16 years old by November of 2001. Sure, he doesn't have the car yet, but legally speaking, he should be able to drive one.
I'll say.
The way I see it, the timeline has the Big Bang in fall 1999 and Fallen Hero as early as November 2001 to account for A League of Their Own occurring after Halloween. Then Virgil would have had to recently turn 16 despite the showrunner's attempts to keep him 15. This negates GL's comments, but he's only off by a month or so, and they never discussed his age on screen, so perhaps it was just a guess? From Future Static's standpoint, that was roughly 50 years ago, so he likely doesn't remember well enough to argue. Not to mention, he probably had more run-ins with GL as well before present GL sees Future Static, so they may be a blur by then. Besides, there's no way for Static to know if he was wrong anyway, since the present day Leaguers never mention what year they came from. Does that all make sense? Either way you slice it, the show's timeline truly is bizarre in context of the seemingly more cohesive universe. Yet I still can't help but love a series that makes me curious if we'll see Adam Evans credited on the upcoming Backstreet Boys album. Or maybe even a feature from my man, Little Romeo!
Down all the way.
Playing it straight, 'cause crime never pays. Oh, it was all a dream? I feel like I hit a brick wall. Oh, that light's so bright. I never noticed how bright it is with my chair there. Maybe I should move it. Wait, where's my chair? What's that note? I have your chair, and if you ever expect to see it again, meet me over on the Jay's Reviews channel on June 10th. Be prepared to talk about the mystery of the Batwoman, and be sure to leave a link in the description. I'd hate for such a good chair to end up missing a wheel or two. Oh my god!